In this video, we continue discussion of our initial attempt to match substrings between the two strings. But let's talk about what else is missing. Definitely, it's a ranking of match parts. Basically, we need to exclude short matches like 1 or 2 characters, right? So these little matches over here, they're just simply, they're just noise. They're not interesting matches. They do not represent any meaning, any words. They're just too short. However, of course, they compare successfully with one another, but we want to exclude them. And for this, we need to have a ranking of the matched substrings, their lengths. So we should simply ignore these 1 or 2 character tiny pieces and exclude them from the results of our algorithm. Before our next version, it's a good time to brainstorm the design of the string matching algorithm itself. We know that we have some kind of concept that we developed trying these 2 nested loops, but we want to design an algorithm which works well, and using our current knowledge of if statements and while statements in Python. So perhaps we can use an empty file just like this to do a walkthrough for our design and see what we can do as a next step. So let's use these 2 strings as an example, right? So we clearly have a long string and we have a short string. For the short string, I'll just use it sort of like a vertical axis, and I'll push it to the end over here. Okay, so this is what I'm going to use for our design board here. And we already know that we have an outer loop, and it's being controlled by index. Okay, so we have we designate the outer loop as a loop over the long string. So this is at the top of our example. We have a longer string. We already know that, and this index initially is set to 0, so it points to this first character in our string, right? So let's make it a little larger here. Likewise, we also have the short index, right? So I can just copy this over here at the bottom, and we have this inner loop as well, and we have the short index. Of course, the short index is pointing to characters, indicating which characters we're using in a short string. So this string represents the outer loop over the long string, and this vertical string represents the inner loop with indices also initially set to point to the first character. And so then we begin our comparison, and basically this index will be moving forward as a result of every outer loop iteration, and this index likewise will be moving in this direction, eventually reaching the last character here and terminating the loop over the short string. And of course, we begin with the first letter, and this index already indicates which letter we're trying to match. And of course, there will be, let's just say that there are no matches, right? There's no fragment like all in this little short string. So we move forward. Essentially, this index moves forward. We're still searching for our matches, and we're finding this fragment that says Jack, and of course we have Jack over here. So we begin from B, L, A, C, K, and so forth, and there's no match. But then when this inner loop index reaches the letter J, we have a loop. And if I try to indicate it, so somewhere here we'll say we have a match. Okay, and the trickiest part of this algorithm is that we decided, because we're just just about to compare this next character with the next character in the outer loop, inside the inner loop, we increment the index. And here we actually find that we have another match, okay? And likewise, again, we say, oh, this is a match, so this definitely can move forward. But the trick is that, oh, let's see if the next character matches. And we find that, yes, these two characters also match, right? And there's one more letter that will match over here. So we have this this piece here, which essentially detects that there are four consecutive characters that represents a pretty good match of a substring that can be found in both of these strings, and this will be the outcome of it. So then the idea is that in order to provide some ranking, and the ranking, the easiest ranking to imagine is how long is this match, how long is this substring. So the idea is that we will use perhaps a new string variable where we essentially will accumulate the matched substring, like Jack in this example. And with this, we can then, as we will be ready to print the result, we'll simply look at the length of this substring that we were able to extract in all this process, in these iterations, in the outer loop and in the inner loop. And if it's long enough, we will then decide that this is a result worthwhile detecting and printing or storing for further processing and so forth, right? So again, I just remind you that why this worked the first time, and this is I think the trickiest part of what we do here is that as soon as we find a match, and of course the inner loop continues and we move on to the next character, to the next character, to the next character, in order to be able to find the corresponding piece in the outer loop, we increment this long index, or the loop controlling variable of the outer loop, inside the inner loop. This is the tricky part that allows us to find these interesting pieces which overlap in both of these strings.